Glad to know you're still there. What we're talking about now is that the federal government has approved a 45,000 naira monthly stipend for students in technical colleges to boost enrollment and revive the TVET sector. The initiative, announced by NBTE's Professor Idris Bugaje, also includes free tuition, funding for industry-based instructors, and skill certification support. Funded through a 120 billion grant via NELFUND, the stipend is a non-repayable grant aimed at making technical education more attractive and job-oriented. Bugaje noted that the goal is to equip students with employable skills for local and international opportunities. To sustain the effort, the Ministry of Education is pushing a bill to create a national skills fund under the Nigerian Skills Qualification Framework, ensuring continuous funding and long-term impact on technical education. Our guest this morning is Dr. Peter Ogudoro, educational researcher. Good morning and welcome to the show, Dr. Ogudoro.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to join you.
Okay, 45,000 to each student of technical education. Good or bad?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We have had this kind of ideas used by other countries. I know in England, for example, when they had shortage of teachers, what they did was to incentivize young people to choose education as a vocation, and that helped them to raise the population of competent teachers in their society. So that's probably where they are borrowing the idea from. The only challenge here is sustainability. If you start it now, do you have the resources and the human capacity to deliver on the promise of this recent government policy? I'm not absolutely sure that we have what it takes to sustain it.
Okay, but 45,000 naira, that's about 135,000 naira per term for a student. I don't know how much the teachers are going to earn, whether this 45,000 naira will also be paid to the teachers in addition to their monthly salaries. But while they're doing this to the technical education space, what happens to the rest of the system, educational system?
Yeah, well, this policy has little or nothing to do with the remuneration of teachers, to the best of my knowledge. They are just trying to recruit teenagers into the technical education space because, as you are probably aware, technical education has not been a popular choice for most teenagers who finish secondary school and want to take the next step in their education. So this is a way to incentivize young people to choose technical education because their parents generally don't think it's a good option. Most of the time, everybody wants the grammar school kind of education because that's the easiest route to get to university and then pick up a degree that maybe enables you to become a politician, go to Abuja and easily make money. Technical education has not been a very popular option, and the reasons are obvious. When people make that choice, move in that route, what you find is that they get to these technical schools and discover that the machines that are supposed to use to train them, to make them justify the investment of their time, those machines are, technology are not usually available. And as we speak today, we also lack manpower. The teachers are also not there. So for every 10 technical teachers you need, you probably don't have more than 2. And so you are wondering how you are going to be able to sustain that, because unfortunately for us as a country, we tend to build our house we start from the roof rather than starting with the foundation. So before you start thinking about recruiting massively at the teenage level to get people into the classrooms in technical schools, you first have to be sure that there are teachers who will make these things happen in the way that you want. But you can see again, we have decided to start building our house from the roof, and I suspect we might run into problems when the winds come.
Yeah, because that was my concern. That's why I asked about the educational system generally, because those teachers are not there. And you find a situation where maybe you go to these schools and the reasons, or you pointed it out even, the things that are supposed to be used in these schools to teach the students are not there. And then you also find a situation where even to enter into these technical colleges may become even more difficult, because sometimes it is that difficulty that you face that makes people not to enter into these specialized schools, so to speak, and all that. And people stay away. They go to the places that is easier for them to just enter and all. And then you find a situation where a student is earning 135,000 naira in a month. So people want to go there, not because they have the passion for it, but just because they want to make money. That's how in Nigeria, a lot of these things happen. I saw a joke somewhere where someone said that elsewhere they went and saw that people were given bread and tea when they went to school, and anybody who came late was given only bread without tea. And then at some point, even the teachers also began to come late, and they were struggling to have this bread because they are they just want to eat some freebies. That was a joke anyway. But now it shows how greedy sometimes our people can be, so that even if you don't have a passion for something, so long as there's money involved in that thing, you just want to do it for righteousness, to fulfill all righteousness, and that is the end of it. So how are we going to make sure that not only are students being recruited, they have the right teachers, not only do they have the right teachers, but they grow the passion to do what they have gone into those schools to do, and not even just end there in the technical colleges. They also have incentives that will want them to pursue that kind of a course in the tertiary institution.
Yeah, well, the part of it that may shock you is the possibility that when politicians come up with these ideas, at the end of the day, you might discover that their brothers and sisters, their friends are the ones who are going to end up, collecting this money. And even the principals of those technical schools are likely to collude with politicians, to defraud the nation. These things happen in our country. So you just have to produce a list of your students, and they multiply the number on that list by 45,000 and give that to you every month. We know through our experience with palliatives, starting from the COVID time, that a lot of the people who were on paper as individuals in our country receiving palliatives were actually not people who were collecting and editing. Politicians just use those lists to get money to run the next election. And so we must be very careful about what we're doing, because I'm not absolutely sure, given my experience as a researcher in the industry, that this is the most critical challenge that we have in the education space at the moment. I think that even the whole idea of saddling NELFUND with this additional responsibility is also likely to become a distraction, because NELFUND was set up just to lend money to those who will eventually pay it back. Now you're asking them to give money to people who will not pay it back. You are complicating matters for them. We have seen that even that little responsibility of giving money to people who will pay it back, they haven't been able to discharge it in a way that everybody has found very credible. Whether it's their fault or not, the point is that we have that challenge. We have had cases where, situations where even NELFUND itself has accused universities of collecting money from them, and also collecting money from students. And we are likely to find ourselves in a similar circumstance, because we always assume that things that are not there are there. Really, we don't have a good database in our country. So the NELFUND lacks the capacity to be able to monitor students who collect money and they're in the classroom every day. In the advanced societies, they have a means of checking that everybody who collects money, it shows up in the class to learn. We won't be able to monitor that because we haven't got a good database to convince ourselves and confirm on a day-to-day basis that the people who are giving money to be in the classroom are going to be there. That's one side of the story. Additionally, One of the reasons why you're going to run into difficulty here is the fact that technical education is not popular education in our country, because young people have seen that most of the people who have become millionaires in our country didn't become millionaires by going to technical school. They became millionaires by taking degrees from conventional universities and then headed to Abuja and became politicians, got into Senate, got into House of Representatives, became ministers and commissioners at the state level, and life became very easy for them. That becoming a welder or learning how to do tailoring or how to bake cake and those kinds of things are very tortuous approaches to getting the millions in Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, the world is also changing very fast. That generally speaking, what you realize is that if you are very smart, you can actually learn most of the things on YouTube without having to go to a technical college. And when you are done with your YouTube training, which is likely to be available for free and done at your own pace, you might be better trained than the people who go and spend 5 to 6 years sitting down in a place called technical college, where the teachers are not there, and of course the technology is also not available. So what the government should have done would have been to take a pull approach. In management we talk about push and pull. So if you equip the technical colleges with the right technology and then invest in sending teachers, for example, to a country like Germany, where that's a country that has done well with respect to technical education. So those teachers go and then give them enough incentive to return after they have received the training. They come and start giving excellent training, and people go to technical colleges, they finish, they become relatively comfortable, they achieve financial independence and financial freedom, and become very successful people in society. You don't need to preach this to anyone. Young people will move in the direction where there's money. That's how the world works. So take a pull approach. So success of those who have gone to technical colleges will pull into technical classrooms those who are considering options for higher education. But we do it the wrong way, and let's watch and see. But I'm not optimistic that this is the first step for us if we want to solve the problem of poverty and deal with unemployment, because I think those are the things they're targeting. But this is not looking like the best approach to address those challenges.
Well, like you said, we start building our houses from the roof, and that's what is happening here. If I can quote the minister, to sustain and expand the program, the minister said they're championing a legislative bill to establish a national skills fund under a new Nigerian Skills Qualification Framework. Now, all these things are the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's that should have been done before this policy came up. And as usual in Nigeria, they are bringing a policy before taking any document to the National Assembly that will make the policy expand, make the policy sustainable and all that. And we hear that it is 120 billion naira that has been earmarked for this. That is just maybe for this year, which means every other year or every year it will be like that. 120 billion naira has been earmarked for this. Technical colleges are now about 20,000 or so in the country, which is as against 150,000 ordinary secondary schools in the country, and it is worrisome. But they are budgeting 120 billion naira for a project that has not had any legislative backing or anything like that.
Yeah, so that observation is germane. Supposing members of parliament do not agree with them and throw the bill out and say this is not a good way to try to deal with problem of unemployment and poverty in our country, and of course skills development. And again, that by the time these young people also graduate, we have to start grappling with the question of who is going to employ them, really. Because if you pay them 45,000 every month and over a period of 6 years, they get what may look like training, but then without the skills, employers will still be reluctant to hire them. It's not as if we have not had technical colleges. They have been there and they have been producing people. But the question is, what's the quality, what's the competence level of the people they have been producing? those people have not been meeting the expectations of employers. And so you find somebody like, Dangote, who runs a conglomerate. Most of the time when he has important projects to do, building a new refinery, building a new cement factory, he tends to import people at this level of skill from Asia, and sometimes even Europe and the Middle East, because he finds people with better work ethic, from those kinds of environments. So here, as we have already put on the table, we are building this house from the roof. We haven't been able to deal with fundamental attitudinal challenges that we face in our country, especially in terms of work ethic. The average technician in our country, even when he has the skills, he doesn't think well. There's a tailor, for example, who sews my clothes, and I have given him materials and money to facilitate the work I asked him to do for me. About 3 months now, he keeps telling me stories. That's a technician in the context of what we're discussing. He has poor work ethics, and he's a pastor in his church. He collects money, he has the skill, but he's not delivering. He keeps giving excuses as to why he's not able to do it. And every time you tell you show up in his shop, he tells you sorry. So we need to deal with broader issues that will lay the foundation for what we're trying to do. And every time problems arise in Nigeria, we just keep thinking that the only problem we have is problem of money. So you can see them thinking about how to fund it and how to create, how to find the resources in terms of money, which they will set aside for this project. At the end of the day, the process of even getting that bill into becoming a law is likely to require people spending money and, saying Emma Binusa to the politicians, and we know how we do it. You have to drop some money here and there before they can, create time to listen to you. We have seen that over the years. It doesn't matter what the politicians are saying when they get into parliament. We know that money changes hands, before a lot of things are done in our country. So we need to first deal with problem of mindset, orientation, attitude, recognizing that this country belongs to all of us and we have a responsibility to make this place work, because Nigeria truly is blessed. It's a beautiful country. It's rich in potential, but unfortunately, politicians have not run this place well. They have always been wasting our resources. You can see another one they are doing, building the house from the roof. You haven't got the teachers, you haven't got the technology, you haven't enacted an enabling law to support this. You just push money into the hands of people who are not likely to be able to account for it. So someday you just discover that it will not be EFCC and ICPC that will be chasing the people who are responsible for this project, all over the place. And at the end of the day, all of us get distracted and we start something else to try to use that as a solution to this one. So let's try and move more systematically. Let's be scientific. Let's first work. Let's first get the data. How many Nigerian children are actually interested in moving in this direction? The mere fact that you're providing 45,000 does not mean that children are going to take your 45,000 and stay in the classroom. Parents are likely to say, well, that this is their own turn to get their share of the national cake. They will send their children to these schools. They collect money from there, but go to university. But are they, maybe 1 or 2 times in a week, they show up in these classrooms just to be able to mark the register. At the end of the month, you pay money into their account, but you'll find that they are actually in regular university, which is the place they think will give them what they are looking for. So, we haven't done the thinking properly because we are not a people that respect evidence. We just work on assumptions and they think that because we have prayed and we have trusted that God will deliver, he will show up for us when we are not putting in the work. I think that we haven't chewed this one properly. It's not a bad idea in theory, fundamentally, in terms of the concept. There is merit in it. As a researcher at the global level in diverse countries, I have seen this idea work in other countries. It's not impossible to work here, but we must move systematically if we want to duplicate what countries that are serious have done within their own domains.
Okay, knowing that we have not done the groundwork and the foundation has not been laid, but there is a 120 billion naira lying around that could have been used to do these things. If they were to deploy that, redeploy that money to make the system work, what are the things that you think the 120 billion should be addressing now before we get into this policy working?
Two key areas. You need technology and you need human capacity. Okay, you don't have the machines. I do research in this industry. The students who study in these places are not happy about the state of technology they use to train them. They feel very sorry, that what it should be technical education ends up, being like what you should be expecting in a typical university, especially in the Nigerian context. They're just copying notes and then cramming things and writing exams. A lot of the times, most of the things they do, even when it comes to assessment, is alternative to practicals because they haven't got the machines. Just, like the kind of thing we had, with WAEC this year, where WAEC was, examining children in this current WASC they are writing, examining children in data processing. But the data processing exam was alternative to practical because the computers are not there. If you want to achieve in these areas, you have to first provide the technology. Okay? When you provide the technology and children know that if they go to these places, they find modern machines, state-of-the-art technology to learn with. They will, as I told you before, what we call it pull strategy. Make the places conducive and attractive. Students on their own, you don't need to give them money. People like to go to places where they will acquire skills, where they will get the things that will make them relatively comfortable, the places that will liberate them and get them out of poverty and give them financial freedom. They will go on their own. And after you have done the technology thing, then invest in providing skills to the teachers. You're thinking about sending people, they're going to waste a lot of money because they will pay money to their friends who are pretending to have functional factories when we know that those factories are not working. So they will be funneling money to those places saying they're giving them money because they provide environments for practical sessions for the children in technical schools. At the end of the day, when you visit those places, you know that even those people who are supposed to be mentors and who are supposed to be practical trainers, they themselves are not flourishing. So this becomes an easy way for them to make money rather than actually producing things that solve human problems in Nigeria. So a lot is wrong. Let's get the capacity. Send the teachers in these places to countries like Japan, send them to probably Hong Kong, send them to Germany. These are countries that are on record as countries that have done well in these areas. Let them acquire the skills and also ensure you provide attractive compensation packages that will make the people you are going to train abroad to come home and transfer those skills to the children who you are concerned about. For now, we have not done any of that. And we are starting with pumping money into the system. Politicians will give you lists of their cronies, sometimes even dummy lists, things that have no human being, just John Musa, Balogu, Timilei, Emeko Koro, just the kind of way we do it. So there's a list. Once you submit the list to NELFUND, they pay the money. And politicians use it to prepare for the next election. I think we're doing the wrong thing. As I have already said, we need to start building our house from the foundation, not from the roof. Invest in the right technology, train the teachers, pay them the kind of salary that will make them stay in those places and not be distracted by side hustles, so that children who finish from these places will become globally competitive, start getting jobs, remotely to solve problems for people who have problems in other countries, and probably travel abroad and then start remitting money back home. Okay. Their friends and neighbors will hear and want to move in this direction, whether or not you're giving them monthly stipend. That's the way to make it happen.
Very true. Put the things in place and everybody will go towards it. Put the light somewhere and the insects will come. Well, I've seen universities that a whole mass communication department has one video camera that will serve people in their thousands. Some of them have never even heard about some things that are practically used in a normal studio, but they go into school, spend 4 years, come out as mass communication graduates. Some of them don't even know what a Daniel Jones dictionary, pronouncing dictionary is, and they come out as, you know, that's the problem we face in Nigeria. It's not only in technical education, but I do hope that people will start thinking, because now I'm not sure they use the brain to think. I don't know what they used to think and do the things that they do. But thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Ogudoro, for coming on the show this morning.
My pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too, sir. We've been talking to Dr. Peter Ogudoro, an education researcher. We will take a short break. When we return, Dangote Refinery slashes fuel cost for Nigerians, beats West African prices. Stay with us.